Hello, my people. Good day to you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whatever time zone you're listening to this, thank you for tuning in every single day to listen to me on Daily Mind Shift. My name is Michael Ojola for Mindset Transformation Africa. And on today's episode, I want us to talk about counsel. All right. Let me anchor today's episode on this statement. Sometimes the best counsel we can give someone is delivered in the form of a question. Sometimes the best counsel we can give someone is delivered in the form of a question. That is what I want to open this thought with today. We often think of counsel as giving answers, giving advice, pouring out wisdom. Sometimes unsolicited wisdom. We think good counsel is speaking well. But what if I told you great counsel is often in asking well? Let us think through this thing together. See, we live in a culture obsessed with answers. From the classroom to the boardroom, we are trained to value the person who speaks up first, who solves the problem, who has the final word. That is there. That is cool. That is not bad. There is a certain prestige in being the answer person. But here's the shift. Answers close conversations. Questions open them. Answers close conversations. Questions open them. And if you really want to help someone grow, you really want to guide them through the fog that they are in, you don't just talk at them. You create space for them to find clarity themselves. That is one of the best virtues of a coach. Asking right, poignant, great, curiosity-based questions. And see, it is important for you to understand that when people find clarity themselves, it lasts longer than whatever it is that you're trying to tell them. The most impactful leaders, the most impactful parents, partners, or friends are not those who simply give directions, but those who ask the kinds of questions that lead other people to their own personal realizations. That is what wise counsel looks like. It is not a floodlight of opinions, but a carefully placed lantern that lets people see the path for themselves. So let's go a little bit deeper. Why do questions work? All right, you may be asking, why do questions work? This is what I believe. Questions empower ownership. When you give someone an answer, you may solve their problem for the moment, but when you ask a powerful question, you are inviting them to discover the solution on their own terms. That is ownership. Think about this. If you tell someone, for example, you should leave that job, that is your idea. But if you ask that person, what is that job costing you emotionally, spiritually, or health-wise? Now, they are the one doing the evaluating. All right? The ownership of the decision becomes their own. That is what makes the difference between temporary change and transformative change. Another thing is questions activate the mind. Answers are technically passive. Most times they are passive. Questions are active. They stir up thoughts, all right? They force the brain into motion. And neurologically, questions create what is called instinctive elaboration. That means the brain automatically begins to search for answers. You cannot help it. The moment you hear a question, your brain immediately starts searching for answers. It is like pulling a mental fire alarm. The mind has to respond. But when you are dealing with someone when you're dealing with someone that is stuck in a mental fog, they are trapped in indecision, spiraling in confusion. Don't just rush in with your advice. Instead, ask a targeted question. All right? It is like lighting a match in the dark room. They may not see everything yet, but they will see enough to take their next step. Let me remind you of something very profound today. Some of the most transformational voices in history rarely give straight answers. Jesus asked over 300 questions in the Gospels and often answered a question with another question. Think about that. Socrates, one of the most impactful philosophers in history, didn't just preach. He He questioned. He led his students through layers of inquiry until they saw what they could not see before. Even in coaching today, the most respected mentors and thought leaders don't lecture their clients, they provoke thought. Questions, my friend, are not lesser tools. They are surgical instruments for the soul. Let's be honest. Sometimes, giving someone advice makes you feel smart. It makes you feel validated. It makes you feel helpful. But often, it is not what the moment needs. Sometimes you give advice because you feel uncomfortable with someone's pain, someone's silence, someone's uncertainty, not because they need your words. In these moments, restraint is power. Wisdom says, hold your advice, ask question instead. For instance, instead of you should apologize to them, try what part of that interaction do you think you will handle differently if you had the chance. Instead of saying you need to stop seeing that person, try what has continuing this relationship cost you so far. Instead of saying you need to get serious about your goals, you can try what would happen if you actually did what you say you will do. You see the difference? These things work. These are the things I'm learning. These are the things I'm learning to my daily interactions, to how I practice my coaching. These are the things I'm learning. One approach inserts your will. The other invites reflection. And that is where real growth begins. So I want you to ask yourself first. That is why I want this to be personal now. Not just in how you counsel other people, but in how you counsel yourself. What if the key to your next breakthrough is not found in telling yourself what to do, but in asking yourself the right question? Consider this. What am I avoiding right now and why? Those are beautiful, powerful questions that changes your life. What am I avoiding right now and why? What belief is guiding my decision today? Is it based on fear? Is it based on truth? If I was not afraid of failure, what would I attempt right now? Those are powerful questions. These are not just questions, they are keys. And the right key in the right lock at the right time can open a door that has been closed for years. Self-counsel is self-leadership. So don't just fill your head with noise. Sit with questions that challenge your excuses. Sit with questions that confront your comfort zones. Sit with questions that unlock your courage. I want you to be the person who asks questions in your relationships, in your conversations, in your leaderships. Choose to be the person who asks. When someone is overwhelmed, don't rush in with a rescue. Ask, what do you need most right now? What would make this feel more manageable? If this struggle had something to teach you, what do you think the lesson will be? When someone is venting, don't silence them with your advice. Ask, do you want to talk through solutions, or do you just need a space to release right now? What part of this feeling that you are feeling is most painful? What would support look like for you today? Questions connect. Questions invite vulnerability. Questions are an act of love. Do you understand? Questions are acts of love. When silence is better than a question, there is a space when silence is better than a question. Because see, sometimes the best question is not even verbal. It is silent. It is presence. It is a pause that allows someone to fill the space with what they have been too afraid or too unready to say. Oh, this works. You don't need the perfect phrasing. You just need the courage to care enough not to perform, not to impress, not to control the outcome. Sometimes the greatest wisdom you will offer is a moment of deep listening and a single question placed like a seed in the soil of someone's heart. That seed grows in its time. You don't force it, you just plant it. You water it with your kindness and trust that clarity comes in layers, not lightning bolts. It's important for you to know this, that as we round off today, let me just equip you with a few questions that I keep in my own mental toolbox. Once I reach for when someone comes to me confused, overwhelmed, or at a crossroad. These are the questions. If nothing changes, what does life look like a year from now? What are you pretending not to know? What will you do if you are already enough? Who do you become if you make this decision? All right. What is the smallest next step you could take right now? What story are you telling yourself? And is it actually true? These are not just words, they are mirrors, maps, and magnifying